I love that we got whooped. Now, look, here on this show, I'm not yet over the whooping that the Niners handed down to the Philadelphia Eagles. Second biggest loss of Nick Sirianni's career, and it's the biggest loss of Sirianni's career when he starts his starting quarterback. So this butt whooping, it reverberates through Lincoln Financial Field. I'll tell you that much. Shady, let me tell you this. The Eagles should be concerned.
Oh.
Dare I say the Eagles should be panicked. The reason is, when a team gets beat down, you already know, we all know it's a copycat league. So until you prove that you have addressed your errors, until you prove you've addressed your deficiencies, you might get beat again the exact same way. Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday. We all gonna be watching. But what I was thinking about this morning, y'all realize that the Cowboys, from a personnel perspective, offensively, very much so match up to what the Niners and who the Niners are. CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel. Very shifty as a wide receiver position, can put him in the backfield. Tony Pollard, he has wide receiver experience similar to Christian McCaffrey. Jake Ferguson, he is not George Kittle, but right now he has 5 receiving touchdowns. When I think about Brandon Ayuk and Brandon Cooks, not even thinking about the Brandons of it all, Brandon Cooks, a 6-time 1,000-yard receiver with, I believe, 4 different quarterbacks. When I think about what ability the Cowboys have to try to do the same thing to the Eagles, it leads me to believe maybe, just maybe, the Eagles have some concerns. The Eagles should be panicked until they prove to themselves, first and foremost, and then they prove to us and you as the Eagles' all-time rushing leader that they have fixed their issues. But do you think the Eagles should be panicked?
No, we shouldn't panic. We lost the game, right? When you go into look at the records, they're going to show wins and losses. They don't show no points. We lost. We lost the game. And the beauty of this whole thing is we're still number one in our division and number one in the NFC. Why are we panicking? We got a MVP candidate, Jalen Hurts.
Yes, sir.
A leader as a quarterback. And then it's stuff like that what Brandon Graham said. I don't know if you remember when we talked about the Niners game. And I said, you know what? This might be a blessing, getting beat like that. Because now other teams may not can deal with getting a loss like that. But when you have a team that's built with veterans, with experience, with Super Bowl champions on that team. On this team right here alone, we have a lot of Super Bowl champions on that team from 2018, 17.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of. So dudes like Brandon Graham, he's a leader. When he speaks out, he means it. Fletcher Cox, Lane Johnson, right? Kelsey,
yes,
Jason Kelsey. So when I look at how you lose, that's one part of it. How do you respond? And then when you respond, it's not just the way you play. It's how you practice. It's things like bringing up the way that they ran the ball on the Eagles, the way that we've been tackling in the secondary. All those type of things, when you have a veteran team, you speak about it. And I'd be damned if this team does not respond. That's who we are. Philadelphia is made on guys getting knocked down and getting back up.
Talk about it.
Rocky Balboa, he's real in Philadelphia.
Talk about it.
On a serious note, the reason why we all love Jalen Hurts, it ain't always about his attributes, right? I'm sure there's other quarterbacks that we may love some of their attributes. The one thing about Jalen Hurts we love is that heart, is that leadership. And that trickles down all the way to all the other veteran players we have. So when you ask me, are we panicking? No. When you got leadership and experience on that team, we're going to be fine.
Well said.
And we going to Dallas. That's how you bounce back. You can't bounce back at home. Nah, we cool. We're going to take this show on the road to the Dallas Stadium. Get a big win there with the so-called MVP and all them boys. And then you're going to be loving us again. You going to be loving us again.
Possibly.
See y'all Monday morning.
You know, my answer I had circle was no.
You doing the circle?
Y'all are not tracking James's circles, producers.
We gonna take his paper. We gonna take his paper.
I had circle, G. My answer that I had circle was no. Until I heard that tweet and seen that tweet. Because for me, that screams false confidence. That's what that screams to me. And the reason why I say that is because they didn't play bad. You just got beat down.
We played bad.
It's not like it was bust assignments. It's not like Jalen Hurts got sacked 15 times. It's not like you turned the ball over. It's not like you fumbled. You just ran into a team on that Sunday that was clearly better than you and beat you down. To come out and say it finally caught up with us, this wasn't one of those games to where you guys are turning the ball over, Jalen Hurts throwing picks, or the defense, giving up a bunch of this wasn't that. This was clearly, we are better than you right now in this level of the football season for the San Francisco 49ers. So for him to say that it finally caught up to us, what? Like, you ain't been playing well all season, but at least the previous games before the Niners, we can say, man, they got to stop turning the ball over. Man, they had 3 busted coverages. Man, they didn't get no pressure on the goal. Like, none of that stuff happened. Like, this was a solid football game for both teams. The Niners just beat them down. So to turn on the tape and then you come out and say that tweet, for me, this is false confidence going into this game. And I'm panicking because you are going to play another really good football team that has won 14 straight at home with the MVP candidate. And if you lose this one, we all need to have panic buttons up here because the Eagles have not played good football all season. And then you got your leaders coming out saying this. That screams false confidence to me. That screams a little panic in that locker room to me, Joy Taylor.
If the Eagles beat the Cowboys 20-17 this weekend, would we?
No panic buttons.
No panics. No panics.
To me, depends how, but I don't want to interrupt your.
2017.
Yeah, depends how. Like
How they look.
Yeah,
Even if they win, it's still a panic?
depends how. But I don't want to interrupt your take. I'll explain later.
Like they play like kind of good, and in the end they win the game.
I have too much to say. I genuinely don't want to interrupt your take.
Okay, but well, I'm saying panic over one week. When all season long we've seen that San Francisco has done this to a lot of good teams, and really a lot of other good teams haven't done this to other good teams. So this is like a San Francisco problem. San Francisco is the one that's whooping on other good teams. Now, good teams are whooping on lesser teams, but we're not seeing a lot of head-to-head battles that are blowouts unless it involves the San Francisco 49ers. So for me to say panic, I'll start panicking when this becomes a trend. Like Shady said, it's one loss. Was it a bad loss? Absolutely.
It was.
But it doesn't count as like more of a bad loss because of how bad it was. There are blowouts by good teams every single year. We can go back in the history books and look. We don't have time. I want to bore everybody. Just take my word for it. It's the truth. It happens. Good teams lose badly, and they tend to lose badly to other good teams who are able to take advantage of them not playing at the highest level. What I think he's talking about is the thing that we've been talking about with the Eagles all season long, is they've been getting away with not putting their foot down. They've been finding ways to win games, which is a reflection of maturity and leadership and making the plays at the end of the game, but they've not been winning convincingly. They've not been winning with flair. They've not been putting their foot down. And when you run up against a team like San Francisco, that ain't going to work. I firmly believe this game plan changes if they go up 14-0, like they should have. Like, you want to talk about them not doing their job? They didn't do their job. They got to the red zone twice, came out with 6 points. It's unacceptable against a team like San Francisco when you know you need to put pressure on their young quarterback. So I can't say panic because, again, they have too much equity. Again, the Cowboys got beat down by the San Francisco 49ers team. They looked bad. They were talking about how humbling of a loss it was. And what did they do the very next week? They beat the Chargers 20-17. It wasn't some spectacular performance, but they won. Were we panicked about them then? I mean, maybe we did. Maybe we did a segment about panicking about the Cowboys.
Game playing really good football. I think the panic sits in because the Philadelphia Eagles all season long have not been playing.
Isn't that worse?
I mean, it's a lot of flip-flop.
To me, that's worse.
Well, I mean,
but I'm not trying to make this a Cowboys-Eagles thing. I'm just saying the Niners have been doing this to everybody. So how you answer this week is what will determine where the Eagles really are for me. If the Eagles go out and play a really good game and lose to the Cowboys, or they go out and play a terrible game and get blown out, or if however this game plays out will determine it for me, because the Niners been doing this to everybody. And if we're going to keep this energy for the Eagles, let's keep it for everybody who got blown out by the Niners, which I don't think we're doing.
No, but the reason I'm highly panicked and Shady, it's not highly panicked. The reason I'm concerned, and it's borderline panic, is you have to stop the bleeding. And we use that phrase a lot in sports, but I'll ask for you all's help to really explain to the viewer what I mean. Shady, when you're on offense, if a team you see week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, or week 8, if they run a zero blitz against you, and the whole game you can't stop it, well, what are y'all working on Monday and on Tuesday?
Zero blitz.
No doubt. All you're doing, Shady's coming to practice, walk through, they running zero blitz. They're walking through the zero blitz because they couldn't stop it.
Right.
Now, you don't know if you actually can stop it until the following week when you get zero blitz. Zero blitz, for those at home, is when you run an all-out pressure. There is no safety help. Everybody's playing man-to-man. You don't know if you can stop it until you see it again.
Sir. Okay.
And when you see it again, do you beat it or does it beat you? The reason I didn't want to interrupt your question, Joy, is because regardless of the outcome of the game, Cowboys-Eagles, I'm going to be wondering, how are the Eagles linebackers addressing the issues that the Niners presented? Darius Leonard, it's going to be Shaq Leonard, it's going to be his first time starting. We assume he's going to start. How's he addressing it? If they keep number 41 Morrow as the starter, how's he addressing it? Darius Slay has gone to Twitter because he got called out by a former Eagles player. Now in radio saying the DBs didn't want to tackle.
Yeah.
How many yak yards is CeeDee Lamb going to get? Jake Ferguson, is he going to get busy going across the middle? So for me, not only do I want to see the Eagles win, I really want to see the Eagles atone for some of the errors that were glaring in the game against the Niners. That's where my panic lies. Not so much who's going to win, who's going to lose, but have you fixed your issues?
So, first of all, I think that the Cowboys and the Niners are two different teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
One team plays with super bully ball, not talking about it, actually doing it. I don't see the Cowboys as a straight bully team like that. I think they're a talented group. Another thing is, I went back and watched last year's playoff game against the Eagles versus the Niners, just to see, like, what really happened here? Like, it was a way different story, even though I'm talking about this all on offense for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because Purdy was hurt, so I didn't look at their offense. So I'm strictly talking about the offense for the Eagles against the Niners defense. And watching this year, or watching this year's game against them, they dominated the Eagles up front.
Yes, they did.
Right? But when they played last year, they didn't dominate them like this. So when I'm looking at they made plays but wasn't as dominant. So when you ask me, how can you correct it? We talk about panicking. Well, it's easy. Certain things about holding down different gaps. Having that asshole, listen, you not running this ball. And I seen them do it. I seen the corners coming up making tackles, right? Even the play McCaffrey shook Slay and scored.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah,
but you coming up to pursue that, though. Right? Now, 9 times out of 10, running back should make the cornerback miss, but the effort to come up there and make that tackle. This year, I didn't see the effort.
Yeah.
When I watched the Eagles versus Niners, I didn't see no effort from the Eagles. And I'm not used to saying that. Nick Sirianni, that's one thing I can say about him, where his teams, they're well coached. But they play with heart and attitude, and they play with effort.
No doubt.
So we asked about the small things to change. Yeah, I would love to change the 2 drops we had in the first quarter, the score on them instead of getting 3.
No doubt.
But things that you really can change is that effort and that attitude.
Yep. I like it. You need to be in the team meeting, man. Go back in there.
Hey, man, listen, man, you don't just
spit. They need a little bit of that shady energy.
Come on now.
But for me, what game this season has the Philadelphia Eagles, from your point of view, from top to bottom, played a really good football game where you walked out and said, "We getting back to our mojo"?
What game this year?
Yeah.
I can't. It's
See?
not.
And that's my thing.
But it's not a particular game.
Yeah.
But that's cool to say that.
I know.
But my thing is, there's teams that play great,
No doubt.
and they still
Lose.
No doubt.
Still lose.
For me,
Okay.
I think the winning is covering up a lot of stuff. And now that they lost, it's starting to bring out a lot of stuff. And the reason why I say that, we in week, 14?
14 going into it.
We're going into week 14. Week 1, we said the Philadelphia Eagles ain't look like they were supposed to look. Week 2, we said they ain't look like they supposed to look. Week 7, we said the same thing. Week 13, we said the same thing, right? This might be who they are. And it sucks to say it because they have a bunch of talent over there, but you can't tell me after 13 weeks, you just clicking the button to say we finna play the way we supposed to be looking. That's why it's panic time, right? Only reason why you guys are coming out saying this right now is because you lost badly. But you've been looking like this all year long, but you just made one more play than the other team finding ways to win. So for me, if this is who you are for 13 straight weeks, not playing consistent football, but finding ways to win, this is who you are. Boom, I pass it to you.
I got one question, though.
Go ahead.
Name me another team that's been playing great all year. I'm waiting.
It ain't even got to be all year. You couldn't pick one game. The Dallas Cowboys, the Niners, the Ravens have dominated football teams from first quarter to fourth quarter. The Eagles have not done that.
There's only been one team playing this year, since you're talking like that, that's been solid on offense and defense.
I disagree. The Ravens have played really, really well. The Cowboys have played really, really well. The Niners have played really, really well.
I think the Ravens are the second best team in football.
Yeah.
Right? Until the Eagles get everything together. But it's been more defense and offense here and there. It's been more defense. The Niners give you that effort and that crazy work on defense and offense. That's the only team. Even the Cowboys, to put them in that category, I can't because they've been beating regular teams.
The Ravens destroyed the Lions. They near 40 points. They destroyed the Seahawks at home. I'm saying there's days that they have played from one quarter to fourth quarter.
We still came on the show and had a segment about who we giving more credit to, Lamar or the Ravens. So I hear you. It's not pretty. But if we're saying this is who the Eagles are, so then they're the best team in the NFC, they have the best record in the NFC and are still winning the division, that's who they are?
Yeah, right. Only one team with 10 wins.
So that's what's confusing to me. I understand that we want things to look a certain way. And I guess my pushback on the Cowboys is, and again, maybe they will do it this weekend. I don't know. I don't know because the Cowboys have beaten the Seahawks. That's the best win they've had this season. By that, I mean that's the best team they've beaten this season. That's just what it is. Is that an opinion or is that a fact?
That's a fact.
That is the best team they've beaten this season. So when you're talking about the Cowboys can exploit the Eagles the way that the Niners can, I haven't seen them do that to anyone of the Eagles level. Maybe they can. Maybe it is a copycat league. Maybe the Cowboys can. We'll find out this weekend. But we're basing that solely on predictions because we have no evidence this year that that's possible.
I would say we do.
Against who?
The Eagles.
Yeah.
Remember, Dak Prescott.
But they lost.
Correct. And that's the dilemma. That's why we're having this conversation. Because what Brandon Graham said was, we've been getting away with it because we're winning. So you're right. But remember, in that game, the Cowboys had 405 yards of total offense. Dak Prescott, I believe, had 373 passing yards, 374, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Eagles played a terrible defensive game by their own metrics and standards. 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott had no picks. But you're right, but they lost.
But so they didn't exploit anything, because if you exploited it, you win.
That's different. Speaking from your experience,
that helps for Dak Prescott's MVP.
No, what it does is this: it makes Shady go back into the film room. It makes James, it makes you, it makes me go back into the film room and say, "Hey, we got away with this one, but we better get this fixed."
Yeah.
So exploiting doesn't necessarily mean you win. Exploiting means we identified the deficiency. Now can we capitalize on the deficiency so much so that we do win? Because I think the Eagles have gotten away with it.
But they haven't done it yet. Like, cool, cute, you did all that, you lost. So all that work, all that hard work, all that film, all that, we're going to take advantage of this for what? Because you still took the L the same way that you took the L against the Niners, because they all count for the same. So when I'm saying that they haven't done it yet, they haven't done it to success. It is a zero-sum game here. Did you win? Did you lose?
Right. And another thing is, as much as we killing the Eagles because they had a terrible loss to the Niners, it's like let's not forget what we've done this year though. We've beat the Chiefs, who think is a really good team. We beat the Dolphins, who we think is a really good team.
The Bills.
We beat the Bills, who we think is a really good, as a solid team, not a good, but a solid team. Yeah. And then the Cowboys. So it's like, as much as you want to make it like we're this and we're that because we had a bad loss to the Niners, we beat these good teams.
Oh, no.
And everybody I talked about is a Super Bowl contender other than the Bills. Would you agree?
Yeah. To me, it's not that the Eagles had a bad loss. I go beneath that layer. I don't care that you had a bad loss. A lot of teams have bad losses.
Everybody loses.
Last year, the Chiefs lost to the Colts. Yeah. Right. But then when we saw the Chiefs lose to the Colts, we said, wait a second. Sky Moore dropped a punt. Darnell, help me if I'm wrong. Sky Moore dropped a punt, and then Chris Jones gets a PI that was like a questionable PI.
Right.
So you look at that loss, and you're like, come on, man.
But that's not everything. Okay. In 2020, when I won a championship with the Bucks, we got smoked by the Saints.
38-3. So, but the point I'm making is I'm wondering the how. So when I see that the Eagles lost, like if I were to say that the Niners lost to the Bengals, to the Vikings, to the Browns, I could tell you the how, and we could correct the how. When we talk about the Jags lost yesterday to the Bengals, we could tell you the how, and we could correct the how.
What if there's no how? We got beat, but a better team beat us.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.